They cannot make what we have made. A lesson learned is not forgiving. A shattered, dirty, bloody blade. When all are done, we'll keep on living. Our spirit bound to all that burns. Fire is the fuel, we are the pure. Sleepers waken once we yearn. A deep regret, no vision too unsure. Run away, run and hide. Day is gone and comes a time. Run away, run and hide. This dream alive and sanctified. Run away, run and hide. Days come and comes a tide. Run away, run and hide. This dream life and sanctified.
People of European descent are constantly told in the current Emperor's New Clothes-esque mainstream narrative that we are uniquely insensitive, uniquely brutish, or uniquely weak and wretched, depending on the agenda. And well, the only unique things about us are negatives. Shifty influences try to break the bonds between our men and women, and if we don't have those relations, we don't have anything. Some recent examples fanning these flames are the Gillette toxic masculinity ad, which featured only non-white protagonists as the defenders of women's honor. The Me Too movement being twisted to indict white men even though they're not the majority of perpetrators. The fuss around the Kavanaugh hearings. All of the hullabaloo around the Covington Catholic boys somehow being implicated in this uniquely white misogyny. There will undoubtedly be more examples, perhaps culminating in 18-year-old young white men having to serve a preemptive year of jail just to partially absolve for their original sin. In our own circles, some fall prey to infighting between the sexes, and while we take the truths of nature as our guiding stars, we must remember to be vigilant and nuanced, making sure not to fall for modern divide and conquer traps. We have plenty of stories in our European lore that demonstrate harmonious and natural relations between men and women, and I'd like to focus on just one today. The Mabinogion is a collection of old Celtic, particularly Welsh tales, estimated to have been written down about 1,000 years ago, but taken from oral traditions much older. In the first part of the first story of the Mabinogion, we meet two kings who, after a hunting mishap, have to trade places for 1 year and 1 day with each other. Because one of the kings is from a magical realm, they are able to appear as the other, a classic motif of switched identity. During that allotted time of the year and the day, no one in their kingdoms is wiser that it's another man who's actually their king, including their beautiful wives, the respective queens, who naturally they must sleep next to, but respectfully each choose to turn their back to each night in bed. When the allotted time of the year and day passes, each man is restored to his natural form and goes home, explaining what had happened to his wife. The queens convey that during this time, neither man had, shall we say, taken advantage of enjoying her to the fullest. This shows remarkable will and honor, that each man chose to not make love to the other's wife, even though, of course, during that last year, the wives thought they'd been lying next to their rightful husbands all that time. We find other telling elements in this story, and remember, this is from a much harsher time, the medieval era. Each kingdom saw great prosperity during the time of the identity swap, and that's because each king ruled the other's land with dignity. At the end of the story, the two kingdoms unite in friendship and harmony. Mention is made of kings being oathed to those who serve under him, with responsibilities flowing in each direction. No one-sided, one-dimensional elite subjugation here. Furthermore, it's noted that the queens made for good company at dinners and events, conversing pleasantly and intelligently. However, during the time of the swap, the kings would not speak to the queens alone at night, so as to not tempt themselves. After the year, when their identities were revealed and everything was set back to rights, the queens were relieved to not only again receive the physical affections of their real husbands, but to return to their nightly conversations together in the bedchamber. These women had developed themselves to be graceful and charming, not shrill harpies, but also were presented as friends, confidants, and companions of their husbands. They weren't mere trophies or regarded as children. All of these themes I'm mentioning speak to great honor, nobility, dignity, loyalty, character, higher ideals, and harmony. These are elements that can inspire our people from all walks of life. Are there stories from our wider European context with strange and unsavory circumstances, featuring lies, treachery, rape, murder? Yes, of course. These dramas, like any, can serve several functions, as lessons, as warnings, as more esoteric symbols and metaphors. But the kind of story that I relayed briefly from the Mabinogion is one of many, many that we have relaying high characteristics of honor, loyalty, and nobility. These live inside of us, they resonate with us. They wouldn't have lasted through oral tradition if they didn't. You don't remember something that you don't care about. Though different skins of political, social, economic, spiritual, philosophical orders have been laid over us, Sometimes these being less germane to us, as our insatiable curiosity can admittedly sometimes get the best of us as we try anything, and sometimes suffocating us and harming us as the result of foreign subversion. Underneath all of these are our actual instincts. Folktales, fairy tales, and myths are our instincts, compressed and codified into the images, characters, and lessons of the tales. They are measurements and moving pictures of our spirits. So think back to tales like this and find others to remember who you are and where you come from. When you are told, our men, that you bear some kind of ignoble stain, this poisonous message trumpeted out by schools and media, remember stories like this. When you're goaded on to sink to less than what you are, told that everyone else does it, remember stories like this. To our ladies, when you are told to develop only your talents and abilities or only your beauty and outward appearance at the expense of the other, don't fall into that silly trap. To all of our men and women, remember the extraordinary harmony that we are capable of, bearing the unique marks of our people. Whether or not you're of Celtic descent, like this Mabinogian story represents, if you're from related European peoples, dig deep, find and live out those instincts for harmony, beauty, duty. I'm Jared George, the Great Order, on social media for Red Ice TV.
One truth can break a foundation as though it were made of glass. One truth can create a new vision, a future not haunted by the past. The ghosts that haunt us will be laid to rest. The struggle is our test. It is our test. We are the West. We are the West. We are the West. One sound can awaken our senses, remove this veil of black. One tune can lift up our spirits, a story that was made to last. The ghosts that haunt us will be laid to rest. The struggle is our test. It is our test. We are the West. We are the West. We are the West. This time we won't believe what they tell us. The lies are burned to ash. This time we'll defend our borders from all of those who were never gonna ask. The ghosts that haunt us will be laid to rest. The struggle is our test. It is our test. We are the West.